Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale, a bonus, a double upload for you guys. I appreciate your support here on the channel lately, and I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to my last video because I don't want to bury it with this one. It was actually my favorite deck and one of the most toxic decks, to be fair, that I've shared here on the channel in a while. I was actually able to push like 350 trophies right after I got done recording that quadruple spawner deck that was seen in CRL West. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and check out the news of the day, which is Supercell put out this long kind of response to the community in terms of the frustration over the current meta. What I want to do for you guys in this video is talk about it, kind of read or skim through it with you guys. It's kind of a long read, so I will link it in the description below. But just in case you're one of those people who just wants to get in and get out of the video and not, care for my opinion on every little bit of minutia here, let's just kind of cut to the chase and scroll down here. You guys will see that Supercell did confirm in the what's next section there will not be a card rework in November. We need to pause and get the meta back to stable and balanced before tossing more reworks into the mix. We have a few exciting ones planned and play tested, and we'll most likely bring those in the December update if things are settled. Then they say, number 2, which wall breakers, Fisherman, and Elixir Golem will be getting guaranteed nerfs of varying impact in November. It's clear that all these cards are warping the meta around them, and no one card could be nerfed to get everything back to normal. So there it is. As always, thank you for the feedback, your memes, your tweets, your videos, which leads us towards making this decision and shape the balance of the game. We'll be announcing the final Season 5 balance changes next week, so stay tuned from Seth Drew in the Clash Royale team. Now, so yeah, guaranteed all 4 of those cards are getting nerfs. I'm going to quickly go through those cards and talk about how I feel about each of those specifically really quickly because we talked about that longer in previous videos, specifically the one with Night Owl and Sir Tag talking about these cards and Executioner as well. So on those cards, I agree that the Elixir Golem is absolutely... I agree with Thunderstruck, who just came on the channel and said that it is the strongest card, or was it Royal? One of those guys said it's the strongest card ever released, right up there with Night Witch in the very beginning. I agree with that. If you guys have not played the Elixir Golem, it is pervasive to say the least. You can't play a Grand Challenge right now and win without facing at least 10 Elixir Golem decks. It's kind of like one of those cards you're almost required to play or create a deck specifically just to counter that one card using Bomb Tower and everything else that you can find in your deck. So Elixir Golem and Witch are everywhere. So agree with that. I also agree with the nerf to the Witch. Obviously, right? Witch is way too strong. And if you disagree, I would love to hear your rationale as to why, in your opinion, the Witch is actually in a balanced state right now. There's no way. She's way too strong. So the Witch I agree with. The other 2 cards, as I mentioned in the other toxic balance or whatever video, I actually am a little bit less bullish on in terms of nerfing. The Fisherman, I think, is a really interesting card, a dynamic card. I really like that card. I don't want to see them make him unusable or much worse, well, he's already really good, but I don't want to see him to be, like, exiled from the game. I like the meta with Fisherman. I personally want to see Fisherman still remain a strong card, a strong 3-cost legendary card, similar to the Miner. I want him to be solid in the meta. And then Wall Breakers, that's the card that I'm least in favor of a nerf on. I agree with what Tag said in that video that I'll link before if you guys want kind of more context to what I'm talking about here. But Tag said they just offer too much value for 2 Elixir, and they can't be countered for a positive Elixir trade unless you kind of predict skeletons. So I agree with him there. I think maybe a slight reduction to the death impact damage, because that's where you can take out a hunter in a 2-for-4 trade and do a ton of tower damage. That's how much damage on impact they do to troops surrounding it. So maybe you remove that or tone it down a little bit. Otherwise, I don't want to see them touch the Wall Breakers. I want the Wall Breakers to be a viable win condition, because I think you take out the Elixir Golem, you take out the Witch, I actually think the Wall Breakers would be pretty cool in a vacuum if they were actually strong and usable inside the game. That's how I feel about those 4 cards. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the post here. And again, we're not going to read it, word for word. We will watch some of the, we'll read and react to some of the reaction here on Reddit too. But Seth starts out here, and he starts out by talking about Season 3 and our learnings from Season 3. They said they initially reworked Executioner. We reacted to pre-release comments about the Executioner's strength and did an emergency nerf with much less play testing than usual. He goes on to say they really regret making that decision, and they don't want to make it a habit to do these because of communication issues with the player base, who, let's face it, most of the millions of players who play Clash Royale don't look at Reddit and Twitter and YouTube every day. So he said there's issues communicating these balance changes to them. And then he goes on to say, we need time, we need appropriate time to play test and collect data, meaning that let's not make emergency nerfs right away before we actually see just how powerful these cards really are, using statistics right inside the game from all the matches aggregated together and actually have a really reliable sample size. So I want to go ahead and give a response to that because I agree with them in a lot of ways. I also disagree in a couple ways. So I guess I'm kind of on the fence here, but I do want to play devil's advocate because something they don't mention here, and it's something that, is kind of oftentimes the elephant in the room. I'm not saying they're trying to avoid mentioning this, but sometimes it's difficult to draw this correlation right off the bat for really anybody who's not a free-to-play player, And what I mean by that is that the downside to not making emergency nerfs in the middle of the season, if they're necessary, right? If a card is really so strong that people are quitting the game left and right, or taking a break from the game left and right, or at the very least, just left feeling very frustrated with the game. So the issue is not only do you frustrate your player base, but also free-to-play players or players who don't spend a lot of money in the game will actually spend their resources upgrading a card if it's not emergency nerf sometimes. So for example, if the wall breakers are really strong, hey, the wall breakers are strong, awesome, I'm gonna finally upgrade them. They finally given me a reason to upgrade my wall breakers. I'm gonna use some of my epic trade tokens, I'm gonna use whatever gems I might have collected, whatever, right? The problem is when you don't fix these problems quickly, and I'm not saying wall breakers were a problem, just for example, you could say the same argument about any card in the game, right? When you don't resolve these issues quickly with some alacrity, meaning that, I'm not saying they have to change them after 2 days, but after a week or so, you basically give that player base time to upgrade those cards, spend their resources, when as the developer, as most of the community does, that they're only going to be nerfed in the next balance change. So I guess I can see both sides of that argument, but I did want to kind of throw my voice out there, not to be, a populist here and just placate free-to-play players, but I really do think it's an issue inside the game. I do think that you have to think about these kind of upgrade strategy that your player base is utilizing in the game when you do these balance changes. So I would ask this. What is wrong? What is inherently wrong about, making balance changes when they see fit? I don't know how long you need to collect that data. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's 2 weeks. I'm not sure. But two points I'd like to make here. Number one is, why not do it when you're ready? Why have to wait till the certain day of every single month? Why not, okay, I'm ready to make a change, let's just do it. And then put it in the News Royale tab inside the game, That's one point. The second point is you don't have to go overboard with balancing these cards, right? So they use the example of Witch. We had 2 days of data on the Witch. We knew it was going to be powerful. We didn't know how powerful it would be. So why go in there? This is Supercell. Why should we go in there and overreact in maybe nerf her too hard or not hard enough? Or same thing with wall breakers. They're going to be receiving a nerf, but maybe had they overreacted, had Supercell overreacted and given wall breakers an early nerf, maybe it would have been too much. So my answer to that is just moderation. Don't go overboard. Give them a very small nerf. Give Witch even a very, very small nerf after a week or two of collecting data. And if it needs more, then in a couple weeks, just do more. I guess that would be my response. Now, again, I don't want to be coming down hard here because the player base and YouTubers and Reddit and Twitter and whatever, we can complain until we're blue in the face. And Drew actually goes on here to make some Some interesting points here about the community. He says, and he's right too here, because I hear this every day too. And he says that essentially, let's see, where does he say this? He talks about, okay, here it is. For as long as we started doing balance changes, every balance change has been the, quote, worst ever. Every meta has been the worst meta ever to somebody. And we have a responsibility to the player base to make informed decisions using the data and tools at our disposal rather than making knee-jerk reactions to opinions or posts to get traction. So basically they're saying that people are always going to complain. We want to make sure we're providing viable solutions to these issues rather than making knee-jerk reactions, because the community is always unhappy. Or a segment of the community is always unhappy is essentially what Drew, the community manager, is saying here. So while I agree with him, I do think in this circumstance with the Witch and the Elixir Golem, it was pretty obvious that even those complainers, or people who normally don't complain, still were kind of aware that these cards were a little bit of an issue. So anyway, guys, that's the information that I have for you guys. I've basically given you my opinion on these 4 cards. I've also given you my response to the Supercell statement. At the very end here, I do want to go ahead and applaud Drew and Seth for communicating, you know, and sometimes it can be difficult, especially in a meta right now that's as toxic as this. At least that's what a lot of the community thinks, right? So, you know, real quickly, I did say we're gonna get some reaction. The first one says, a good, reasonable post. Thank you for reaching out to the community addressing these problematic cards. Again, communication, people respect that. All I can say is oof, says another guy. I'm not sure exactly what he means by the oof. Amazing post. Why can't I see down votes everyone is putting in this trash post? That guy, Ren God, not too happy about it, Ren God. Only 10 days until hopefully a new broken meta, says Wizard Wiz, so he's still skeptical. See you after the balance changes. Game is unplayable right now. Back to PUBG Mobile I go, says Gunsel. Let's see. Thank God. Thanks everyone at Supercell. Do you plan on removing gems for removing gem card offers in shop? Solid posts. Kind of communication is appreciated. The Ram Rider screaming emote was not exclusive. How dare you, Supercell? Sometimes it's weird to see the responses that people give, like so off topic on these posts. You guys are morons, says Led Zeppelin. Thank you for giving us an update. I appreciate the openness, and hopefully this is a bump in the road. So you can see that the predisposition of some people, you know, no matter what Supercell says, some people will say, thank you for your communication, this makes sense. No matter what Supercell says, some people will say, screw you, this is dumb, you're a moron. So I guess some people are just so stuck in their ways no matter what, you know? Me personally, I like to digest and react to everything kind of in a vacuum. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but at least I'm going in with kind of an open mind. Either way, guys, I'm curious to hear what you think of all these changes and this post in general. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you mad? Are you glad? Let me know in the comments below. Huge shout out to Clash Royale and to Bren Chong, my YouTube partners. Check out their information as well. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.